uh, uh, I heard it said closed mouths don't get fed, so we partnering with Harvey, help to build the city bread. And to those that call Jedediah to the town, hold it, wait a minute. Pause, stand down. Why you mad? Cause we double checking all your allegations. You say you telling truths, we just following the traces. Y'all people mad, Jed ain't seen in clock corruption. Jed ain't moving like a pawn, he's a king, he fights injustice. A lie can't stand when the truth comes to face it. That's why them liars keep on losing court cases. Let's just agree to disagree and work to bring Harvey back. Dealing with businesses and wars they not paying their tax. And all the woman Kobe Jed wants you to know the fake is showing. Thought you'd have him on your finger, he researched, he wasn't going. Want you calling all the strays, who's the leader of your pack? Work on getting business in your ward to pay their fair tax. They making money up in Harvey, but short Harvey on them racks. It's not racks, they owe Harvey some millions. The very money that could help demolish unsafe buildings. This verse was long, run the chorus, we'll be back and we ain't about to leave. Harvey, you can run and tell that we here till whole bills up on every block. Activating people rising and don't stop. Restoration for the hearts that never quit. Vision ain't luck, it's a plan with a crew that's built for this. Empowerment's what we want for the people. You see we care, we ain't backing down from evil. And Harvey, we won't quit. Jed and I for the coaches here and we commit to this. Not quoting fiction, what we saying is fact. Found stolen land up in Harvey, Jed helped take that land back. Put back on Harvey's tax roll, bringing investors to meetings. We trying to help Harvey out, so V-Not's why you see them. We out here making moves, we out here doing something. Cooking with Frank, sir, you coined that term, you wanted something. Victims Network of Thornton Township, V-Nots, that's right. I'm trying to see how they help Harvey, can y'all bring that to life? Cause what I'm seeing ain't right, steady line, going to court. What's the score? I lost count, watching lights fall to the floor. Some people like confusion, we trying to bring improvement. So run that chorus back, remind the people what we do. On every block, activating people rising and don't stop. Restoration for the hearts that never quit. Vision ain't luck, it's a plan with a crew that's built for this. Empowerment's what we want for the people. You say we care and we ain't backing down from evil. And Harvey, we won't quit. Jed and I for the coaches here and we commit to this. I'm almost finished, couple things and I'm through. To the back, library board, no more illegal moves. Can't stand injustice, so for the culture came through saying, hey, Mrs. Price, here's the money, file your lawsuit. When we believe, we don't just talk, we stay making moves. Jed and for the culture, that's just what we do. This last part goes out to Officer McKenna. Jed came to help Harvey fight, helped him be a winner. 911 was called and they sent you. He thought he seen the one and we don't know if that's true. But now y'all, what is Jed gon' do? He gon' fight even harder to help Harvey push through. Y'all got ideas to help Harvey, won't y'all focus on that? We got ideas and making moves. Whole bills up on every block. Activating people rising and don't stop. Restoration conscious and never quit. Vision ain't luck, it's a plan with a crew that's built for this. Empowerment's what we want for the people. See we care, backing down from evil. And Harvey, we won't quit it. Jed and I for the coaches here and we commit to this. We commit to these leaders. We commit to this. We commit to this.
Good morning, everybody. How you doing? This is Investigate and Advocate When Justice Finds No Rest. And I'm the host, Jedediah Brown, proud commander For the Culture. As you see in the title, today I got a gut punch. I was waking up, I got a notification on my phone. I answered that call to the unfortunate news that Harvey Mayor Christopher J. Clark, had transitioned. It is the first time in my entire life that I've experienced what I would call to be pure grief at the transition of a political figure. It was this morning that I realized how much I had come to actually love and appreciate my friendship with Mr. Christopher J. Clark, the mayor of the city of Harvey. And to cancel all of my morning appointments, to not get or want to go get a haircut, to worry about an entire city and what its future will look like, and my position or commitment to that is a place that I did not expect to be in, even though I had certain understandings early on. And so, what I want to do right now, as I would do for any other scenario, and I want to shout out Fox 32 News for providing this visual that I'm providing on the screen. What I want to do is I want to talk about this experience very briefly. I want to talk about this experience. I want to talk about what I believe this means, and I want to talk about where we go from here. The first thing that I want to say is that I am so damn proud that I got to meet the real Christopher J. Clark and not the one that was expressed by several individuals online or even in the media. I've learned a great deal in this and even meeting him and experiencing what I've experienced in the city of Harvey. I want to remind you, and I do understand the moment, so I'm going to be very focused in what I say and intentional. But I came into Harvey, I came back to Harvey because, to be clear, I was a student of Thornton High School, and I have family members to this day that live in the city of Harvey, and I have friends in the city of Harvey to this day. But of course, it's never broadcasted because it doesn't need to be. But I came back into the city of Harvey because there were individuals who spoke about this man being as bad, if not worse, than Tiffany Henyard. And they spoke about the oppression, they spoke about corruption, and the allegations was amazing. When you would think about coming on the tail end of fighting in Dalton like we did for over a year, that somebody would be pegged as worse. And I went to Harvey based on those allegations. And what I ran into was him walking across the room and saying, I've been waiting for you to come to the city. At that very moment, he opened up his office door. I sat down with just me and him and one of his staff members, and he said, ask me whatever you want to know. And I'm going to tell you the truth. Me and Mr. Christopher J. Clark spoke very candidly, and it is an encounter that I appreciate and I'll never forget because I specifically told him that if anything that you said to me come back false, hello. I said, if anything that you say come back false, I'm going to be your biggest contender. And he said, Jedediah, I'm not afraid of you coming. I welcome it. And he said, but you will not find any falsehood in what I've stated. I did our research. I found no falsehood. I paused. I went about my business and I thanked him. Had no conversation with him after that. But I paid attention and I checked things other people were saying, and nothing was checking out for me. So here's the long story short. I saw him again when I decided to finally come to Harvey because I believed that God told me to go. And I asked him along the way for certain things, and he committed to them, and he did it. He said, I won't worry about who's trying to be a distractor in the meeting. I won't be giving nobody will get tickets. I won't stop anybody from expressing their support or their disdain. But he said, I won't allow for the city council meetings to become a circus. And he said, as long as that doesn't happen, it's okay. But one of the things that was so powerful was he told me why he did it in the first place. He said, but Jedediah, these meetings would last forever if we didn't have any order or decorum. And if they don't do it in affluent communities that got everything that they need, if they don't do it in a courthouse, why should I allow them to do it in the city of Harvey? It was a statement that hit hard and I understood. And so I want to go a little further because all I did was ask for everybody to come together to have a conversation. And this man agreed. But everybody who asked me to come and everybody who said that they would, they didn't. And I want history to properly reflect the truth of my memory of this man and the moment. And that's why I'm on here. Because they did it. And I was shocked. He was willing to sit down with his critics in my presence, let them give their allegations and speak his truth. And they didn't show up. They didn't want to show up. For me, it was very revealing. One of them did. It was a businessman by the name of Hassan, a former contender for elected office in the city of Harvey, a businessman. But when I sat down with Hassan and this man, Mayor Clark, I gave him the opportunity to give every single allegation that he had told me personally, from being shook down to asking for kickbacks to people bullying him, taking property unrighteously, so forth and so on. And I watched that man sit down in front of Christopher Clark and backtrack every accusation he had ever made. And I watched Christopher Clark skillfully and masterfully hold that man to account to the facts. And I watched that man apologize with my own eyes. And I asked him, why would you lie to me? Why did you misrepresent? He said, well, nothing. And I fought that man all the way to the point where now, after having cost the city of Harvey millions of dollars in legal fees, he gave up the property back to the city. Mr. Christopher Clark said to me, and I said, Christopher Clark, there are rumors that I'm being paid. He said, are you being paid? Does it matter? But this was what really, really blessed my soul. One of my friends, Sapab, who had answered a call to do an event to feed the residents. People were saying that it wasn't nothing, I had nothing to do with it. And that I was a paid agitator, a paid thug of this man. I said, Christopher Clark, do me a favor and distance yourself from me, because I don't want you to take a hit for the rumors. I'm used to the rumors. I can handle them. But you don't need to have any further rumor, any further harm to your name with what you're trying to do for the city. I want the history to reflect that this man literally looked at me in that office and he said to me, how dare you ever ask me to dishonor those who have my back? He said, Jedediah, I'm not built that way. And he said to me that if they don't like you for helping this city, then they're not going to like me any more than they already don't while I've been helping this city. That man sat on the dais of a city meeting. And for the first time in almost 20 years, I've seen a city elected official in the height of controversy point to me across the room in an official meeting and said, because of that young man, we were able to feed citizens. He recognized the sacrifice and the servitude and the call in the meeting in the face of the critics. And after that, he came to me and he said, don't you ever ask me to distance myself from my friends. And he said to me that if you become used to that behavior by politicians, then you need to understand that they don't deserve you. Words I will never forget. And he said that if you riding with me and you riding with Harvey, I'm riding with you, win or lose. He had earned my attention. He began to earn my respect. I had no idea that months later, while I'm in the height of fighting, having people put false court documents on me, label me, represent our interests as everything but what it is, and attack this man the way they did relentlessly and complain about everything, never being willing to raise one finger to help with any cause. Ladies and gentlemen, months later, the weight of this would become all too real. Christopher Clark would determine that it is time to declare the city of Harvey to be in a state of distress. I called this man. I said, Christopher Clark, you just committed political suicide. He said, no, I didn't. He said, the first thing that I want you to understand, and now I'm telling it like it is and like it was. He said, the first thing that I want you to understand is that I inherited an impossible situation. I'm ending the favor culture, and I'm demanding respect for the neighborhood, not just from those that are outside of it, from those that are inside of it as well. And this word, and I ain't got to be a liar because I literally, this is why I felt like I had so much pride standing with this man the way that I did. Because he said to me that if I had to choose between my political career and aspirations and saving this city, he said the city gonna win every time. And he says, I stand on this because now, even though I'm a lifelong Democrat, he said, now they can share in the truth being told about what they will and will not do for this city. That's what that man said. He said, as of today, I put it at the feet of those who actually have the capacity to do what I can't and give this city the resources so that it can stay afloat. I have done everything that I humanly could possibly do and that I know of to make sure that we made payroll every single time it came up, and I have no more options. And he said, today, he said, I didn't commit political suicide. I put the ball in the court of my party. That's what this man said to me. And I said, all right, I'm riding with you till the wheels fall off. And he said, Jedediah, I said, but if you don't get it, you call distress, you call for oversight. You saying that you can't handle it in a sense. And that man said to me, he said, there's multiple ways to skin a cat. And he said, Jedediah, if it's the last thing I do, I'm going to get this city out of distress. And I'm not worried about an election because I'm the mayor. Now is what the man said. I have not added. I have not subtracted. I am not exaggerated. I'm telling y'all why I fought with him. And I watch people relentlessly on social media talk about the condition of Harvey and the corruption, but they never produce one receipt. Only thing that they can come up with is we have nothing. We don't have no documents, but everything that they talked about when they were presented with the facts, they could not back it up because they were not looking for truth. They were not looking for justice. They were not looking for change. They was looking for a come up because they had an agenda and not a heartbeat for the city to get any better. It was about their name, their aspirations, and their legacy. It was not about Harvey. And people stood on the fact, oh, you're not a resident. Oh, you've done this in the past. But I was trying to figure out, can you please do the math with me? Because 2 + 2 makes 4. Everything we're doing is to give. We ain't took nothing yet. What is the problem? Oh, because I said something in a way you don't like it? But I understood that my fight that I was experiencing in this city was not just because of me, but it was because I was defending somebody that they determined would be the sacrificial lamb. Simply because he held a seat, not willing to pay attention to the truth or the reality. And I am so passionate because I ain't got to rehearse the truth. One of the things that I'm so happy about, one of the things that I'm so proud about, is that when I called Christopher Clark to come to a Christmas party in New Jersey, his response to me was, "Is this for Harvey?" I said, "Yes, we got to get opportunity in the city, and I need people to meet you." He said, literally, with less than a week's notice, "For Harvey, I'm there." And he said, "Jedediah, you have done everything you said." And he says, "I'm going to go to this and I'm going to present my city and I'm going to try to get whatever we can for Harvey." That man said out of his mouth in that meeting, sitting in a room with a bow tie on, and I was talking crap about him. All I was doing was talking crap about him. "You done came ready. You got a bow tie on. I'm in a baseball cap. I'm chilling. They chilling." He said, "If I'm the mayor, and I had to come correct." He said, "I want them to know this." Oh, Jesus Christ. This man said out of his mouth, he said that, "I'm not begging anybody for anything, but I want them to know that Harvey is a respectable place that is worth doing business in and investing in." And I sat there and I'm watching people say, "He at a party. We in distress." I'm an advocate. I'd never seen it from this side. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. He's at a party. He just sponsored somebody's event, I think the Black Chambers event that was honoring other people. What about the city? What about the condition we're in? And I'm sitting there watching this man make sure that the very minimalized city services that he had was doing their job to the best of their ability. And one of my members, Elena, went to the city, the public works department. They were hard at work. And we said, "Let's buy them lunch." We bought them lunch. We asked the city, "Let us buy them lunch." Christopher said, "Give them lunch. It's the least that we can do for them is give them lunch." He said it could happen. But I was like sitting there watching while city services were actually being done by very minimal amounts of people. I saw workers who were upset about being laid off, talking about what was being done in the city. But I saw a man that was stressed about how to figure this out because he wasn't a millionaire. He couldn't just solve it with the stroke of his own pen. He told me about when he gave $20,000 in awards of one of his critics to handle a need of one of his residents, how he was waiting on the city to pay him back. And he said, "I'll wait forever if I had to." He said, "But I can't give all my money. I can do the best that I can. I'm going to tell you something. I watched that man bless people behind the scenes from his own pocket, one after another, and never got a mention about it publicly." The man that I was witnessing, the man that I was around, and trust me, I was waiting to see the fangs, the tail, and the horns. I couldn't trace it. It didn't add up. It didn't make sense. And I'm not a man that looks for popularity. I'm a man that looks for truth. When we left, and as I said to him, I said to him, there was a TikToker. He did a TikTok dance. And everybody was calling, "He cannot do the TikTok dance. They gonna take that and do this, then the third. They gonna say this." I looked at Christopher Clark in that room, and I said, "Christopher Clark," I said, "Mayor Clark, I'm asking for all of these people to take these TikTok down." And that man looked at me and he said, "You will do no such thing." He says, "I came to New Jersey for Harvey. And my friend," he referred to me again. He said, "And you, my friend, have done everything that you said you were going to do." He said, "But I could not have imagined that I was going to have this much fun." And I watched that man belt out this old weird laugh that was hard and deep, and it was from his belly. And he said, "I got a moment of pure," he said, "I got so much joy out of this weekend." He said, "You all will not take down." He looked at the TikTokers and told them, "You all will not take down that TikTok video." He said, "Because I'm happy." He looked at me and he said, "Thank you." And I was like, "But I said, "But your staff is panicking. Look at your critics." And he said, "Jedediah, when are you going to stop looking at them?" He looked at the investors and he said, "I'm ready and I'm excited. Let's make Harvey respectable or respected." This is what he would always say. Let's make Harvey as respected as Orland Park and Flossmoor and Homewood. And then he said, you worried about the critics. I'm worried about the children and the seniors. He says, I'm really worried about our seniors. Can we do something for the seniors? And I said to him, so you mean to tell me you want us to leave the TikTok up? You don't want to respond to the critics, and you want to do something for the seniors? He said, that's all I care about. I said, we're going to get it done. I looked at the investors. I looked at my people. They said, you want to do a senior event in less than a month? I said, didn't I say that? Did you know what my name is? And did you hear what this man said? We're going to get a senior event done. And everybody was like, we can't do it in a month. We can't do it in a month. We can't do it in a month. And I said, you are looking at a man who's been watching everything that he ever done, be told that it cannot be done. We're going to do a senior event in a month. And everybody stopped being panicky and frantic. And I called him and he said, Jedediah, you've done everything. I swear I'm not lying to y'all that you said you're going to do. What do I need to do? I said, I need you to figure out how to get the city out of distress. And I need you to be at the event because we're going to throw a Christmas party for the seniors of the city of Harvey because you asked to do something for your seniors. That is how it came to be. And when I tell you that my last memory with him is now my greatest memory of him, because I kept telling him to just be a mayor. He said, oh no, where's the dessert table? He went to the dessert table and he handed out the desserts. Christopher Clark is another reason why every senior person in that room got additional gifts. He didn't ask for it to be known. He didn't ask for it to be mentioned. But I looked up and here come Christopher Clark as if he had robbed a local department store. And he says, I wanted to put these gifts with the gifts. And I said, what? I said, we told you didn't need to do anything. He said, I would not have an event for my city and these seniors and I not contribute to it. He said, Jedediah, be cool, be cool. And I sat there and I watched. And I watched him be in joy and amazement. And I listened to his speech when he said to his seniors, I'm just so happy to be here. I'm shocked that y'all are out this late. And he said to me, he said, you said that we was going to throw an event in less than in a month. And he said, and he said, you did it, but he said, we did it. And he said, I didn't imagine it was going to be as great as it was. He said, thank you. Now, I want to also tell you all this. Christopher Clark had skillfully and masterfully negotiated the deal that I was able to announce of building new homes into the community. They had rejected so many other things because he didn't want anything that would hurt the city or just provide temporary relief. I told him that I wanted to bring my organization to the city, and the city said, we got enough nonprofits. We need things to come into this city that's going to pay into the tax base. I said, Christopher Clark, I'm not bringing a nonprofit. He says, okay, then I will definitely agree and have your back in that. So while everybody was talking shit, this man didn't even want for us to have a tax break if I came into the city with all the fighting we were doing in and with the city. He was very clear. This city got to come out of peril. And he was like, I need things to add to the tax base. He said, I can't believe this is what I want to say, because I could talk about these experiences over and over and over again. But when we had made the agreement to build the houses, he said, Jedediah, let the houses be built. I said, man, I'm finna shit on them. I'm telling everybody. He said, let the houses be built. He said, this is what I will say, and then I want to switch gears and tell you something else. Christopher Clark called me and said, I was upset because they were literally talking about, oh, he made a bad deal with this inexperienced company, and they doing backdoor deals and he getting paid. And I was like, I'm sick of these bitches. And that's when Christopher Clark said to me, he said, Jedediah, when are you going to realize you're bigger than them? He said that I don't respond to them and I don't go back and forth with them because I would never be able to sit down with them and pen an agreement to build homes that are to the standard of the vision of where we're trying to take Harvey to go, because they don't have anything to offer but complaints. And he said, Jedediah, they're not going to call anybody and feed a community. They're not going to get to be able to call investors or people together in another state. When are you going to realize you're bigger than them? He said, when you realize you're bigger than them, you're going to stop responding to them. And I want to say that in this experience, one of the things that I'm so blessed to know, that even in the stress of what obviously became his final days, Christopher Clark was inundated with accusations from small people in small places. Individuals touting themselves as journalists or preservers of history, who didn't even have the character, the resources, the skill, the ability, the wit, or even the will to try to preserve anything or report anything from a factual standpoint. It was all inundated in an agenda and selfish desires. But one of the things that I'm so proud to know, when I finally got to pay attention to what the realities was in Harvey, that even though it may seem that his critics were loud, they were few because they were not inspiring, because they were literally easily identifiable. But they were so ineffective that the way they tried to make this man feel, they could not do, because he knew that he was bigger than their attempts. I would have been heartbroken to think that this man left here with all these rumors over his head and all these people trying to distract and destroy from the work that he was attempting to do, to shape the narrative of who he ultimately was. But I know from the many conversations that that man was on a mission, and he was focused, and he was confident in his God, and he knew his true identity, and he lived in the facts over the hype. And they could not move him, not even a smidget. As he even said to me, he said, Jedediah, there was no way you was going to come in here and be against me, because I'm a praying man and I know the facts. And I said to him, why won't you just open up what they're asking for? He said, Jedediah, I do open it up. And every time I open it up, all they do is complain. He says, I'm fighting to keep this payroll intact. They don't want to solve problems. They want to find something to complain about. I remember when I sat on a phone call with him and an older woman and the state's attorney's office and another person and several individuals. Me, I sat on that phone. And I remember Christopher Clark, because I didn't tell this part, but I'm going to tell it now. Christopher Clark said, I don't control what these officers do. That alderman was on that call. That alderman this is the reason why I got a problem with that alderman. This man said, she's not going to do it. But if she would simply apologize to that man on his phone, like they're asking her to do, none of this happens. It all goes away. He said it. He says, I know that she don't mean me no good. I know that I know what her agenda is and what she on. But he says, but I'm willing to walk away from this. And he says, I'm sure the police department will be willing to walk away from this if you would just apologize and it'd be over. That's why she got off the phone. That man gave her an opportunity to drop it and work together. But she was getting ready to make an announcement. And that's why I'm telling you what I've been telling you. I sat on that call. This ain't secondhand information. I am not a liar. And now what benefit? The man is gone. But when they got off that phone and they got out there, he just want to oppress me and retaliate and do this. I was floored. Couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it, and I can't believe it to this day. I was floored when I asked them about the many inconsistencies in their accusations. Their responses had me floored. And so I watched as people say, he ain't doing nothing. Jedediah can't do nothing. I just was quiet because that's what they asked me to be. Don't say nothing. You ain't got to prove nothing. I said, man, make an announcement. You finna build homes. Make an announcement. Let it be known. And then when I saw that false flagger put out a lie, I didn't have it in me to withstand it. I said, look, y'all, I'm building houses in Harlem because of him. They sat down and they didn't want any kind of house. They wanted houses that was of quality, and they wanted houses that the current constituents in that city could afford. They didn't want to do business with people who had proven to be either false flaggers or bad corporate citizens or individuals who were only looking for a come up that wouldn't take the quality that they wanted to be in there to make sure that they maintained the property after they benefited from it and that they and with it. He was very specific about what he wanted, and he was ending the favor culture. I said, man, why don't you call out for outside help? He said, man, because I'm faithful to my party. I said, fuck your party. They ain't faithful to you. He said, they've been good to me. He's like, but I will be honest with you. They could do so much more. But that man looked at me and he said out of his mouth, he said, but I don't have the favorability of the senator. The senator is blocking support coming to my city. He says, but it's okay. I'll get it done. And I don't know if it'll come out, so I'm going to tell you. Christopher J. Clark said to me out of his mouth, but I'm not the only city that is being held hostage by Senator Napoleon Harris. He's threatening all mayors that if they don't support his political candidates, that he won't give them financial resources. And that is the moment that I ultimately learned what put me on the reparations track. Politicians of color, they don't govern because they have no power, because they have no money. And he who holds the money, the people who run the government, are white, liberal, rich people who tell these local politicians what they can and cannot do. These people are literally bought and paid for because if they don't do the bidding of the machine, they are targeted. They are barren and without resources. And our community will literally kill them because of the effect without wanting to hear about how they've gotten there. Everybody was screaming, this man abandoned the city. Christopher Clark is missing in action. It was so hard for me to watch that narrative go on week after week, knowing that this man had been in pain for quite some time, knowing that this man had been taken into the hospital and listening to all the people around him explicitly say that if Christopher Clark is down and he ain't showing, you know it's bad. And I'm saying, but can y'all release a statement? Because the narrative is getting out there. This will betray him later. The news is saying he's missing. The critics are saying he's missing. The meetings keep on getting canceled. And I'm hearing from my own information, it's bad. It's real bad. I'm saying Christopher Clark needs to say something. He is not well. What is going on? He's a private man. He doesn't want anybody's sympathy. He doesn't want to give an inkling that he ain't fighting to get the city out of distress. And that's just the way he is. And that's why I respected him, because he didn't care about the critics talking. He cared about the mission. And I learned days ago that it wasn't looking good. I learned days ago. People in his office were telling me, oh, he's okay, he'll be out. We were supposed to do the groundbreaking for the housing project. It was canceled the day before. I was mad. The investors was mad. I had begun to press. The staff was telling me it was okay. I knew something different. I'd made a final call to ask to have somebody tell me, Jedediah, this is bad. I said, how bad? They said he may not be here much longer. Instead of being on YouTube, I just prayed. Instead of saying anything, I just prayed. I respected his wish for privacy. But it was hard because I was watching the very people attack. And I'm saying, but you're supposed to be a journalist. How am I an advocate out of the state and I know more than you? Or do you know and you don't want to tell people? And what really hurt my heart is in the last city council meeting, the mayor pro tem response was as clear as anybody with a brain could hear it. He's human. He's human. What kind of response is that for a mayor that's missing a city council meeting? He just told you what you need to know. There's fires in the city. But look at this mayor get a grant to change the fire hydrants in the city. The city is dark, but look how many lights have been put up. Where's the money going? Look at the new sidewalks and infrastructure that's been placed and put in. The city is in distress. Did you know that they've gotten grants and even the villages will be torn down soon? When I do these, I'm supposed to hold composure, right? I'm supposed to be focused. I'm supposed to give the narrative. Christopher Clark covered him fighting us. That's why you couldn't get a restraining order, because even the judge knows that you cannot be a predator and then call yourself a victim. Individuals who have no vested interest, no ability, or no will to make anything better for the city of Harvey coming into the city, trying to make a name and trying to accuse somebody already with one of doing what you're doing. But the difference is I was called by God to do it and not you. And I want to tell you that even in this, you still have failed because this man left knowing he did the best he could. And I know that as a friend. But I won't make this moment about them, but I will tell these stories because as everybody began to be fake as fuck, as everybody try to act like they were friends and sympathize and oh, how great he was, and people try to be seen and oh, I knew him and this, that, and the third. This is all I'm gonna tell you is that in those poorly attended meetings with the same people coming with the same narratives, I not all the wiser saw none of these so-called friends show up to have his back. And this is the first time in my entire life that I got an opportunity to believe in a politician that when I met him in person, unlike Barack Obama, he was exactly different than what I thought it would be. In fact, he was even better. And I watched him take those hits. And so don't even take pleasure in the simple thought that the stress of this assignment took him out. I got a different understanding. What took him out is something beyond everybody's control. However, he didn't leave here in a fetal position. He left here fighting for his city. And I'll tell you this in full confidence. that even in his hospital bed, with days being uncertain, that man communicated with the few who were able to stand in the government of the city of Harvey and to do the best job that they could possibly do with nothing, even when the people in the community would not do their part, organize, come together, pay their taxes, hold other government officials accountable, or even hear the man talk about how to get out of this. When I sat with Christopher Clark in our last meeting, this needs to get done, that needs to get done, this needs to get done. It was not that he didn't want to do it. It was that he didn't have what he needed to do it. That's all he said. Jedediah, I don't have this. Jedediah, we don't have that. Jedediah, that had to be outsourced. Jedediah, those files, we still catching up. Jedediah didn't know about the case. I would call the city of Harvey and say, why isn't your lawyer at this hearing with this fake ass reporter? And they said, what hearing? Our lawyers wasn't there, only to find out that because Harvey couldn't pay the lawyers what they wanted to be paid, they half-assed their job, resulting in even that man getting a $5,000 payment that he don't talk about when they talk about everybody getting paid. But y'all sitting there looking for every opportunity you can to sue your own city and take from an already struggling tax base. So as people now vie for who ought to be in control, this is my position. Our song that we wrote for Harvey simply says that I'm committed to this. I'm committed to Harvey. It was not just about Mayor Clark. It became a pleasure fighting alongside him. I'm not a resident all the wiser, nor do I desire to be. But the millions of dollars that I know by my relationships are sitting at the brink of being able to come into this city. If the city of Harvey picks incorrectly, I will leave them to their own devices and their own will and wit. I will not tell them who I think they should support because I will be clear here. I am completely caught off guard by this, even though I saw a lot of the journey from behind. One of the things that I'm so proud about, and I don't care who mad at me for telling it, when they had to lay off all of the city staff, they allowed me to go into what would be a hub. Christopher Clark allowed me to go into a hub. And in this place, they were able to capture video in most of the city. He said, our city's police department may be lessened, but we're trying to solve crimes like the fires in the city. Did you all know that there was a murder that took place, and I don't remember where it was, but the only way that they were able to catch that murderer, and you may not have known this, is because Harvey's cameras caught the murderer fleeing through the city of Harvey. But to watch these critics with their dumb asses get on there talking about, wow, we spending money on cameras, you ought to thank those cameras for solving not just that murder, but many others that you all don't know is to the credit of the city of Harvey. I can say so much that I couldn't say, but oh, I burned to say it. Simply because I was respecting that this man was not trying to get cool or popularity points. He was just doing his fucking job. I'm glad that I got to apologize to him. I looked at that man and I sat down with him square in his face and I said, I'm sorry that when you were running for supervisor of Thornton Township, I listened to fools and I didn't check your caliber. He said to me, Jedediah, it's all good. It looked like we did the same thing to each other. I sat in that man's living room. He showed me his home. I went to his mother's house, to whom I offer my most sincere and deepest condolences. And I sat there with her and I laughed, and he talked about how annoyed he was that whenever Investigate Navigate came on, it was on that TV sitting right in the living room and she would watch it from beginning to end, and he just wished that I would stop cussing. Christopher Clark became my friend Because men and women are not born or measured in the day of good news. I don't know the quote in its full sense, but in the days of adversity and difficulty. And I got to sit with him in many of it, and I saw and learned of his character. But I was pained by the reality that people didn't see what I'd gotten to see, and I didn't know how, if ever, they would be able to find out. And so I don't give a fuck about nobody's wishes. I wanted to tell some of these truths, as there are many more. I asked him for a meeting with my team, and he came to City Hall when he wasn't supposed to be there. They provided pizza, drink and pop, and he sat down with my leaders across the network, and we talked about the reality of Harvey. But that was so amazing because guess what? And any of my leaders can attest to this. We wasn't being buddy chump chump. My leaders were able to question him about his accusations. And I watched that man sit there with no real requirement and answer every one that they had. Christopher Clark became my friend. And even though it wasn't publicly popular, it became a pleasure of mine to take whatever hit that we took together because I knew the difference between the big people and the little people. That was a great man, greater than I think Harvey realized. And his work and his pursuit was misrepresented and misunderstood because other people took his narrative and they turned it to fit what they wanted it to fit. But Harvey, you don't have to take anything I say into consideration. He was fighting and he was refusing to kiss the rings while doing it. And I asked him what was his goal. And I want to remind you what he would always say, that Harvey be just as respected as Orland Park, Flossmoor, Homewood, and any other affluent community in the same area. He would often say, why could they do it here in Harvey if they can't do it anywhere else? Mr. Christopher J. Clark said to me many times, I don't care about the election. I want my city to get back to being the independent, strong, functioning city that it once was. That if you were going to win an election in the Southland, you had to consider the strong strength and the independence of Harvey. That's what he said. He never asked for any pay to play. He offered no privilege. He even told me many times, if you do something wrong, you're going to jail. He sat in that office, and me and Christopher Clark, believe it or not, we just would argue and yell at each other. Why did you do this? Why did you do that? I saw greatness when that man sat on that same dais and he said, I don't agree with the way Jedi talk. But he has been trying to do more in this city than most of y'all sitting in front of me. And I ain't got to lie. The videos are public record. This is the first time in my life that a politician's transition has really hurt my heart. I'm hurting, but I am okay. Because I got to meet an unsung hero and a small giant. I mean, and a small perceived giant. Harvey, you picked the wrong person. Have at it. You picked the wrong person, you have at it. You picked the right person. Here go your proof. I'm committed to what me and your mayor was trying to get accomplished. That you become just as respected as Flossmoor, Homewood, Orland Park, and that the same damn treatment that people give in those cities that they give to you. That you become once again the strong, vibrant, independent city that if power wants to be considered, they have to come through. And to the critics, it was your ill intent that helped me to discover that I am not small, but that I am big, because I met the man that you tried to destroy and couldn't even convince that he wasn't doing what he was doing. And so I'll say this as in my closing. Now, when you see the truth of what's ahead of you, what will be your excuse now? You may get some cooperation from the senator because it wasn't about Harvey. It was about control and his dynasty. But you failed, and you will always fail until you decide to do what's right. But my final word to this man, Mr. Christopher J. Clark, my friend, my brother, and the mayor, he left here mayor of Harvey, Illinois. I remember it all, and I would always tell it like it was and is. And I will do what I can. And I salute you. And I'm damn proud that I met the real you. Hope I said something that added value to your life. We move forward and we press on and we get stuff done. There's so many things that I could and I would and I want to say, but I can't. To all the people that are affected by this, my condolences I sincerely offer to you. And somebody please pray for his mother, for his children, and for those seniors that in that city truly loved him. Because if I didn't find out anything, I found out that those seniors truly loved him because he loved them. I'm done.
I heard it said closed mouths don't get fed, so we partnering with Harvey, help to build the city bread. And to those that call Jedediah to the town, hold it, wait a minute. Paul, stand down. Why you mad? Cause we double checking all your allegations. You say you telling truths, we just following the traces. Y'all people mad, Jed ain't seen in clock corruption. Jed ain't moving like a pawn, he's a king, he fights injustice. A lie can't stand when the truth comes to face it. That's why them liars keep on losing court cases. Let's just agree to disagree and work to bring Harvey back. Dealing with businesses and wars, they not paying they tax. And all the woman Kobe Jet wants you to know the fake is showing. Thought you'd have him on your finger, he researched, he wasn't going. Want you calling all the strays, who's the leader of your pack? Work on getting business in your ward to pay they fair tax. They making money up in Harvey, but short Harvey on them racks. It's not racks, they owe Harvey some millions. The very money that could help demolish unsafe buildings. This verse was long, run the chorus, we'll be back and we ain't about to leave. Harvey, you can run and tell that we here till whole bills up on every block. Activating people rising and don't stop. Restoration for the hearts that never quit. Vision ain't luck, it's a plan with a crew that's built for this. Empowerment's what we want for the people. You see we care, we ain't backing down from evil. And Harvey, we won't quit. Jet and I&A for the coaches here and we commit to this. Not quoting fiction, what we saying is fact. Found stolen land up in Harvey, Jet help take that land back. Put back on Harvey's tax roll, bringing investors to meetings. We trying to help Harvey out, so V-Not's why you see them. We out here making moves, we out here doing something. Cooking with Frank, sir, you coined that term, you wanted something. Victims Network of Thornton Township, V-Nots, that's right. I'm trying to see how they help Harvey, can y'all bring that to life? Cause what I'm seeing ain't right, steady line, going to court, what's the score? I lost count, watching lights fall to the floor. Some people like confusion, we trying to bring improvement. So run that chorus back, remind the people what we do. On every block, activating people rising and don't stop. Restoration for the hearts that never quit. Vision ain't luck, it's a plan with a crew that's built for this. Empowerment's what we want for the people. You see we care and we ain't backing down from evil. And Harvey, we won't quit. Jet and I&A for the coaches here and we commit to this. I'm almost finished, couple things and I'm through. To the back, library board, no more illegal moves. Can't stand injustice. So for the culture came through saying, hey, Mrs. Price, here's the money, file your lawsuit. When we believe, we don't just talk, we stay making moves. Jet I&A and for the culture, that's just what we do. This last part goes out to Officer McKenna. Jet came to help Harvey fight, help him be a winner. 911 was called and they sent you. He thought he seen the one and we don't know if that's true. But now y'all, what is Jet gon' do? He gon' fight even harder to help Harvey push through. Y'all got ideas to help Harvey. Won't y'all focus on that? We got ideas and making moves. Whole bills up on every block. Activating people rising and don't stop. Restoration conscious will never quit. Vision ain't luck, it's a plan with a crew that's built for this. Empowerment's what we want for the people. See we care, backing down from evil. And Harvey, we won't quit it. Jet and I&A for the coaches here and we commit to this. We commit to this. We commit to this. We commit to this.
Yeah.
to the